Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 235. My name's Adam Patterson. Joining me today, we got Kevin Rakestraw. How are you?
I'm doing better.
Doing better?
Doing better.
What does that mean?
Last night, I spent most of my time out in the pitch black cold, crawling around on my hands and knees in the yard looking for my wedding ring. So, today's much better. Much better.
The old wedding ring loss, huh?
Yeah, the old just flew off the old finger there. Just crawling around.
Nice.
Using my phone as a flashlight. It's good times.
Did you find it?
Yeah, it took a while.
Good.
It took me like 2 hours, but I found it.
That's good. Couple things before we get started this week. We are now on TuneIn Radio, so if you have TuneIn Radio, you can listen to the Film Pulse podcast on there. So if you have Sonos or an Echo or any of those devices that have TuneIn Radio on them, we're now on there. So that's cool.
Watch out.
Yeah. This week on the show, we'll be reviewing Sofia Takal's Always Shine, along with Nicholas Peshki's, probably not pronouncing that correctly, I apologize, The Eyes of My Mother, along with some of what we're watching on the watch list, movie predictions, new on video on demand, Blu-ray releases. Remember, you can join in on the discussion by emailing us at podcast@filmpulse.net or sending us a tweet at filmpulsenet. I was thinking we could dive right into our first review today. What do you think?
Yeah, what's it gonna be?
I'm thinking Always Shine.
Oh boy.
That's what I'm thinking. There's
Watch
no
out.
reason. There's no reason behind me picking Always Shine. That's just what I have up on my screen here.
It just feels right.
It does feel right for some reason. I don't know why.
Let's do it. Let's get it.
Okay, so as I mentioned at the top of the show, this is directed by Sofia Takal. It's written by Lawrence Michael Levine, her husband. I have a synopsis here. Best friends Anna and Beth take a weekend trip to Big Sur, hopeful to reestablish a bond broken by years of competition and jealousy. Tensions mount, however, leading to an unexpected yet inevitable confrontation, changing their lives forever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I saw this back at Tribeca many months ago. I did rewatch it just to refresh myself, but I wrote a review back then on the site, so we'll start with you, Kevin. What did you think about Always Shine?
It feels like two movies. I don't know if you got that sense. I thought the first portion of it was fantastic. Really, especially given the performances from the two leads, Mackenzie Davis and Caitlin Fitzgerald. Thought they did a fantastic job. And then there's a certain point where it kind of breaks and it's no longer those two. And we just kind of have like a solo film going on here. And for me, it just came to a screeching halt at that point, and I just slowly lost interest.
Well, the thing about that is, and I do agree with you to a certain extent, it's a pretty short movie. It's under an hour and a half long, so it's a pretty brisk movie. And what you're talking about, like that event that occurs, I mean, I don't know, it's more than halfway through, I would say, yes?
Yeah, I think so. I think you are right. But it's really jarring because you're just kind of like, well, for me at least, I was just kind of settling in and I was getting really, captivated by what was happening between these two. And then just all of that goes out the window.
Right. Yeah. There is an event that occurs that we no longer have one of the actors, although she does show up from time to time. But that's kind of where it's a psychological thriller of sorts. So there's a lot of stuff happening in their heads and whatnot. But at its core, it's a movie about kind of the Hollywood and what it's like to be a woman trying to make it in that business and how kind of cutthroat and petty things can get and just how sleazy things are as well. And
yeah, it's sleazy.
Yes, I mean,
especially that
the opening scene.
Just the way they talk to her. Jesus
I know,
Christ.
just the way how they were just like kept calling her sweetheart and just
I don't, and this is something that just, and maybe it's just because I live in a different area, but I never experienced this type of stuff. Now, obviously, I don't because I'm a man, but I've never seen it as well. Like, I
Right.
don't see people talk to women like that. Like, is that like just part of the business? I guess
Well, see,
it's got to be, it's got to be part of the business.
right, and I have to wonder that too. I mean, I'm not saying that that's not how it is, and I'm not saying that that's how it is for everyone. I would like to talk to some actresses and find out if they've ever had experiences
I'm sure
like
they
this
have.
before. But is that uh, is that kind of a rarity, or is that something that happens very often? It is something that I would like to, as a male and a non-actor. I've never been in kind of those audition experiences.
I just what like when you don't know someone, what possesses you to call them sweetheart? It's just such a weird thing to me.
I always, anytime I hear a guy say that to someone, like in a TV show or a movie or something, first of all, I wonder how much it happens in real life, and it happens a lot more than I would ever imagine that it would. But the second thing I feel is, do they think that that's what the woman wants to
Yeah,
be called? Like, is that did
I
like
don't.
why? Why would you say that?
It baffles me so much. I just don't
Like
understand it.
all of a sudden this girl's gonna be like, this
Oh
guy
my god.
gets me. This
Oh
guy
my
is such
god.
he is such a gentleman, and
Oh
I
my
love
god.
him for it.
Oh my god. I've never been called sweetheart before. Oh my goodness. I'm all flustered.
I just feel like it's I hope that this is not something that happens a lot anymore in
I
Hollywood these
it
days, or
probably
just anywhere for that matter.
it probably is.
I feel like it has to be waning. I feel like that kind of
God, I hope
attitude
so.
has to be waning. However, I mean that does bring up a good point that this movie is kind of based around Sophia Takal's real life, like her career and her experiences in Hollywood, getting jobs because she's an actress as well, and kind of I guess the emotional impact that type of career has had on her as well.
Yeah, because it does. I mean, this what you have at the center here, the friendship between Anna and Beth. Anna, played by Mackenzie Davis, Beth, played by Caitlin Fitzgerald, is like, man, that's a rocky friendship.
Yeah, to say the least.
That's,
I mean, from the beginning, when she gets in the car and she's like sorry and about the kissing her boyfriend and all of that, like right off the bat, I have to wonder: are these two even actually friends? Because it doesn't seem like Mackenzie Davis even likes her remotely.
yeah, it's just, and then yeah, man, that's just a toxic friendship right there. It's just awful, and I found myself just surprised, like the longer it went on, like how bitter it got. It just kept surprising me to the point where I'm like, why are you guys friends? Like this friendship should have dissolved years ago. Why are we going to Big Sur? Why would you
Yeah,
do that?
why are you even trying?
Why are you spending 4 days together? This is a terrible idea. This is just a terrible, terrible idea. This is not going to work. And then Beth's character just keeps making it worse.
Hmm.
To the point where you're just like, Beth, open up your mouth and say something.
I know she's
Like,
so
why?
timid and shy about everything.
Yeah, it's just say something.
That always frustrates me in movies when you have a really shy, sort of introverted character, and you just want them to talk, and they
Yeah,
won't.
but I wonder if and maybe I'm just reading a bit too much into it, but kind of they talk about how she's kind of being typecast and she's been playing kind of the same roles for like the last what like 10 roles in the last 2 years.
Hmm.
So I wonder if that kind of had like a toll on her that she just kind of became that person in real life, anyways, because she
Maybe,
had to play her so often.
maybe, because the new role that she was up for, I guess, was against type, and that was not. She was not playing this kind of mousy, shy girl.
Yeah, she had to play a sassy lady.
She had to play. She had to give it some sass in this troll movie. Stones
Yeah, that's
about
right. Stone
stones.
trolls. Stone trolls. Fucking stone trolls. Which I'm surprised that's not a movie. I wonder if there is a movie. There has to be.
It's Troll Hunter. It's kind of close.
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's close. It's not quite the same thing. Um, Cinematography is fantastic.
Cinematography is great. The other thing that I liked a lot was the editing in this movie. I thought that it was very well edited. Zach Clark actually did the editing on this.
Yeah, there's a
Eh,
lot of jumbling a lot of images in there,
yeah,
mixing it up.
I like that a lot. I liked the opening titles a lot. I thought that the movie had a very kind of De Palma-esque tone to me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I've noticed a couple of people saying that, which I don't know if I've seen enough to Palma. I mean, I guess I kind of see it, but then again, I haven't watched that many De Palma movies to maybe make that or notice that reference point.
yeah, I think it was like just the opening title crawl, how it had that horizontal scroll, and just the music.
I will say that the opening credits they were really difficult to read because you had the top one going the one way and you had the bottom one going the other way, and the letters kind of bled into the screen. And I just had a really difficult time reading the credits.
I didn't, but maybe it's because I saw it in a theater and it was easier on a big screen.
Maybe, perhaps
Either way, I was a fan of those credits.
yeah, they were different. With
N-
that,
Now, what did you think of? This is a movie that's kind of hard to discuss as far as like the narrative arc because there's some things that happen that would be considered spoilers that kind of change the
yeah,
tide in how this goes. But what did you think of where the story goes and how it was presented and
but
kind of the fallout like after she met Lawrence Michael Levine's character and established that relationship?
well, I mean, I want to throw out there from kind of touching on what you said, where kind of you don't want to spoil things, but I think we've seen enough of these movies, and from reading the synopsis, that you kind of know how this is going to play out.
Right.
And
So, yeah.
just a heads up, Always Shine doesn't really deviate from essentially what you're expecting.
Yeah.
Doesn't reinvent the wheel where it's like, oh shit, I didn't know it was going to go there. I mean,
Yeah.
it pretty much goes where you expect it to go.
We know from the onset that this is not going to end happily for these two.
No, no, not at all. I mean, if you hate each other that much, you probably shouldn't spend time alone together in close proximity, especially when one career is going well and the other one's kind of floundering. Probably not the best idea. But again, I will say everything up until the point where essentially Lawrence Michael Levine's character gets introduced, I thought that that was all fantastic. The between the two leads, great work. But everything after that, just I mean, there's just such a I don't want to necessarily say a nosedive, but when it comes to the narrative, yes. I thought the visuals and stuff were still pretty solid and the execution of it, but like the actual narrative itself just off a cliff.
It felt like it wasn't quite developed fully. Like we didn't quite see this thing through because it just feels like it ends very abruptly after this incident occurs and after she sort of has her psychotic break of sorts.
Yeah. And I think it's also because you have Mackenzie Davis giving such a great performance, and then you essentially flip her character at that point
Yeah.
where they kind of do the persona swap. And now she's playing the timid,
Yeah, like the
not
emotionally muted character.
yeah, not gonna say a word, just desperately afraid the entire time. And it just essentially comes to a grinding halt. Or at least it did for me. Because I thought that the beginning portion where I liked how, they introduced the two characters where they give you the feeling that they're both auditioning for a role, but yet only one of them is.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they run lines together,
Oh, that was great. Yeah.
and then the way that she filmed the frantic phone call,
Mm-hmm.
how the camera's oscillating back and forth, and you're just waiting for something to pop up once it pans to the left or right. All that stuff is fantastic, and then just everything just kind of dissipates, and then Lawrence Michael Levine shows up, and just the
I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting. Like you said, the kind of persona swap that occurs there, and it's almost as if she morphs into the other character and starts basically taking on her identity.
yeah, but I don't, and almost to your point, it doesn't feel like they really went anywhere with that. It kind of felt like they were just comfortable in the okay, she's now has this persona, this personality, and that's it.
Yeah, well, I didn't. It was interesting because I wondered how far they were gonna take it because at one point, because Lawrence Michael Levine actually gets the two mixed up. Like he thinks that one is the other because he mentions giving her a ride earlier, but he didn't give Mackenzie Davis a ride, he gave the other girl a ride.
Yeah.
So I was wondering how far they're going to go with the whole kind of identity swap thing. They didn't go too far with it.
Spoiler, they did not go very far.
Either way,
Uh,
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. I gotta say, like the execution of this movie compared to her previous movie Green is, oh my goodness.
Night and day. I haven't seen Green.
Green, I mean, it's a low budget affair, but just seeing the difference between those two is just kind of like, oh my goodness, wow, production values substantially have risen.
Yeah.
I mean, just the landscape shots of Big Sur, the fog and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Like
Goodness,
a lot of great forest scenes too.
got to get that fog in there.
Mm-hmm.
Fog is
Mm-hmm.
so damn cinematic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I had a. It was funny. I saw this very shortly after we saw the Alex Ross Perry one,
Yeah,
and to me, this one was
much better.
executed in a much better way.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. Because I also noticed a couple people making that comparison.
Yeah, because I saw the two very very close to one another. So I would say if what was the name of that one? I already forgot.
Queen of Earth.
Queen of Earth. If you saw Queen of Earth, the Alex Ross Perry one with Elizabeth Moss, and you liked that one, I would recommend seeing this one because I thought that this one was better. Not
Yes.
to say the other one was bad or anything. I thought that this one handled it a lot better. And you're dealing with the similar subject matter. You know, you have two friends going to a remote cabin to try to reconnect, and things don't go quite right, and it's sort of a psychological thriller in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, they are very similar.
The thing I liked about this one was the exploration of the pettiness of Hollywood and the jealousy that accompanies that, and just how it affects relationships when you have friends who are actors and in the business.
Yeah. Especially her, uh, Beth essentially like trying not to bring up her success.
Right, yeah, she didn't mention the magazine article and all of this stuff 'cause she's trying to keep it from her. But then you have to wonder, like, does that somehow make it worse?
I think it
Because
does because she's essentially communicating that like my success I feel is going to hurt you. You know what I
that
mean? Like she's projecting that on her. She's not giving Anna the chance to be happy for her. She's just assuming outright
right.
that Anna's going to be pissed off that I made it into a magazine, got this magazine spread. I got to keep it from her.
I think it's that, and it's also the fact that when she sees that kind of success and she's just kind of shrugging it off or almost like belittling the fact that she has this is in this magazine, she looks at it like, you know, I would kill for that. You don't appreciate what you
Yeah.
have here.
Yeah. And also, if you're not going to talk about it, why are you going to bring the magazine with you?
I
That
know,
seems
right?
kind of
Just leave
weird.
it out. There were several kind of fundamental mistakes I think she made in this. The magazine was one. Not telling her about the short film was another thing because why would you not
Yeah,
just tell her that?
just tell about the short film. Or at least just speak up like as soon when they bump into the guy, be like, "Oh shit, I forgot to tell you, he's doing a short film."
Yeah, exactly. And instead, she just stands there and it just becomes more and more awkward. Like, let's just speak up. Have some backbone here.
Say something. Come on.
All right. Any final thoughts on Always Shine?
Um, I liked a lot of it, which is the really shitty thing.
I liked a lot of it.
I just realized how fucking dumb that sounded.
That should be your letterbox review. I liked a lot of it.
Oh God! But it unfortunately there's just that point where it kind of just drops off for me. It just really that was jarring because I
Yeah.
was just like I just got into it. Like yes, where is this going? I love this. I find this very captivating. Let me see where it goes. And then it goes in the most uninteresting of ways at that point, unfortunately.
Hmm. Yes, yeah, I could definitely see why that kind of shift would maybe not appeal to some people. I didn't mind it. I liked where it went. I wanted a little bit more from it, but I still had a good time with this movie. All right, let's go get ahead and give it a score. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
I give it like a 6.5, maybe a 7. I might bump it up to a 7.
A little bit of a bump.
A little bump, a
Yeah,
little bit
my
in there.
keep in mind mine does have a festival bump. So after rewatching it, I would probably still give it around a 7, but my initial thoughts were 7.5, so I'm keeping that. You can read my full review. It's up on the site now. Let's talk about our next movie, The Eyes of My Mother. So this is it's written and directed by Nicholas Pesce. I
Just
think
keep going.
I think
Just
that
try.
makes it worse.
Just get out every single iteration of the
And one of
pronunciation,
them
and
will be correct,
yeah, you
hopefully.
should be good.
All right. I have a synopsis here. A young, lonely woman is consumed by her deepest and darkest desires after tragedy strikes her quiet country life. I actually wrote a review for this one as well. So we'll start with you again, Kevin. What did you think of The Eyes of My Mother?
Oh, The Eyes of My Mother. This movie's hella short, which I like.
Well,
I was really fantastic. I mean, I was just so happy with both of these
I was just
films.
gonna say both of these movies are actually pretty short.
I
So
was. You have no idea. You have no idea how happy I was to just pop this on and be like, "Damn, 77 minutes? Yes, someone's looking out for me."
mm-hmm.
One of the first things I noticed is this is one of those movies, and I never 100% understood when people say this, but I will say for this movie, I don't really or comprehend the use of black and white
Hmm.
in this film. I just it didn't it was so just like washed out. There was no it just didn't seem like we needed it to be black and white.
I disagree. I think the black and white aided it a lot because to me, this was kind of your classic American Gothic horror story. And I think that the black and white really gave it, its own unique look.
I could see that.
I thought the black and white looked great. I mean, just like I was thinking about, like, okay, what would this look like in color? And to me, it just doesn't pack quite as much of a punch if it was in color, unless the color was the kind of like washed out European style color that you see in some movies.
I could
Uh,
see like there was a couple sequences where I understood the black and white, mostly being like the barn with the lone light over the top.
oh yeah,
I thought those looked fantastic in the black and white, but there was a lot of stuff that just didn't work for me, the black and white. But I guess that's the trade-off. In order to get those scenes, everything else has to be in black and white, obviously,
yeah, I would say so.
because that just wouldn't make sense.
I thought nearly every shot in this movie looked fantastic. I thought it looked one of the most visually striking, definitely one of the most visually striking horror movies I've seen this year. Um, Maybe one of the most visually striking movies I've seen this year.
Damn,
I'll have to look at my list. I know that's a tall
watch
statement,
out.
but I loved the visuals in this. Thought the cinematography was fantastic. It felt everything in this movie just felt so haunting to me, just so unnerving, and I loved pretty much how every shot was framed. I was into, and I liked how he played around with different camera movements and camera angles. Like he would just sit the camera, like when they were dragging the body with on the tarp or whatever, and they just mounted the camera on the tarp so it was moving along with the body.
That was pretty good. I'll
And there
give
were
you
just a
that.
lot of little things like that I thought looked fantastic. There was a really great like a wide overhead shot on the road when the girl was in the road and the truck was pulling up in front of her or behind her. I mean,
Yeah,
I thought that shot looked really impressive with the giant forest. It kind of gave you the feel for the isolation and just how far away from civilization this place was, this farm. But maybe we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Maybe we should get into the plot of this movie a little bit because the synopsis doesn't get into it too much. So basically, the film is broken up into three acts, three chapters, and it begins with this girl Francisca she lives on a farm with her mother and father. They're from Portugal. I don't know if they never really get into if they all are from Portugal or just the parents. Like if she was born here or they came over recently. But
Yeah,
I got
and
the.
I
Sorry, go ahead.
also got this. It I could be wrong, but it didn't seem like the father was
I
from Portugal.
yeah,
Just seemed like maybe the mother.
yeah, that could be. So
Uh,
I'm not sure. They don't really get too far into it. But the mother is definitely from Portugal. She was a surgeon over there, so she kind of instills her surgical wisdom on the daughter, who is probably way too young to be dealing with that type of stuff. Especially the like dissecting the cow eyes and things.
yeah,
And then something absolutely terrible happens involving the mother. She gets, I don't think it's a spoiler or anything. I think they kind of show it in the trailer. She gets killed by a serial killer. And then some things happen after that involving the father. And basically, it just kind of goes through Francisca's life. And the second chapter deals with the father. And the third chapter is kind of where she decides that she wants a family of her own. And I thought that the movie was just utterly fascinating from beginning to end. I loved seeing how like the kind of transition that the character Francisca took, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
well, I wish I could agree, but I can't because I did not like this at all.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I didn't really. So much of this just didn't make any sense to me, and just felt like a bunch of like loose ideas that just no one did anything with. Like the
Okay,
first section with the mother, and just just none of it made sense to me.
what didn't make sense?
Why do you keep the guy?
I don't
What?
know.
Oh, and why do you make the daughter care for
This is a weird family, Kevin.
him?
They're a weird, messed up family.
I don't.
And
And
did he instruct her to care for him, or did she take it upon herself to do that because she wanted kind of a pet?
I think she kind of took it. Well, he said that you had to take care of this. I don't know if he necessarily meant for her to do what she did, but at the same time, it's like maybe not keep a guy in your barn. That just seems like a lot of, you have to waste a lot of time taking care of a guy in your barn. Like that takes a lot of time and resources.
It
I
does.
mean, you have the chains,
Food,
the
water,
food, the water,
the cleaning up the messes, and
the cleaning up the messes. You have to hear the guy because you know he's going to be mumbling and like crying out in pain and all
yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
You got to put up with all that. Plus, he brutally murdered your wife. So I would think at some point in time you would take care of business there.
Well, I guess he just couldn't bring himself to actually kill the guy. I mean,
It's not.
it seemed like he sort of wasn't quite with it to begin with, and then after he gets home and finds his wife brutally murdered in his home. I guess he just kind of snaps and he just pummels the guy and says, "All right, I'm done with this."
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't really find anything to be interesting. There was a couple of striking scenes, like that one where the camera kind of like moves through the house and the father's sitting on the chair and she's dancing by herself.
Hmm.
That was the most striking thing to me. That just creeped me the fuck out.
Yeah, it's a creepy movie. It really is kind of one of those movies that gets under your skin. There are two movies this week that I saw that involved fingernails
Yeah,
being
that's
torn.
always that is the worst, isn't it? That is just the absolute worst.
Anytime I see that in a movie, it just goes right through me.
Yeah, it's
Well,
disgusting.
the thing that I liked about it was kind of the arc of Francesca and how these events in her life, the teachings of her mother, and then the incident that happens with her mother, and then the passing of her father, and just all of these kind of life events that culminate into creating or developing her into who she is, and sort of being able to see what the end result of that is and the things that she does. And they're not justified by any means, but they're logical within the confines of the movie. You know what I mean? Like it makes sense why she's doing this. She's living in complete isolation. She has no human contact
Yeah,
whatsoever. She's lonely. She's yearning for kind of this human connection. And then the only life that she knows is what's been kind of instilled upon her living on this farm. So to her, what she's doing might not even necessarily be bad. She's just trying to have a family.
Yeah, but I'm also wondering if I mean it seems like it's more so justified because nothing was really ever developed. So everything is just like these loose tangents. So you're just like, I guess that makes sense.
I don't know. I felt like it. I felt like at least her character, I thought it was pretty developed. I understood why she was doing what she was doing, and everything that she did seemed to fit to me. Like I didn't feel like her character specifically was underdeveloped or anything. Like I felt like I knew what was going on with this character and I understood her actions.
Okay.
And basically she was just taking everything that her mom taught her and the whole keeping dudes in or keeping people rather in barns. She just took that, made it her own.
She made it her thing. She carved out her own path, and that path is keeping people in a barn with an elaborate system of chains.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Chains and buckets.
Chains and buckets. It almost makes you think they've done it before
Yeah.
with this chain setup.
It does make you wonder.
Because, to have it all rigged up to hang them from this, a very high ceiling like that, seems like that barn has already been outfitted for keeping prisoners.
Yep. And
Could be wrong. It could be wrong. But
like I said, the family seems not quite right from the beginning. Why did they leave Portugal? Maybe they were fleeing from something. We don't know.
But yeah, keeping prisoners, probably. Sewing their eyes shut. Gross. Some gross shit in here.
There is some gross shit, yeah. There's some...
I don't know. For me, it just never really felt... None of these actions felt justified. It didn't feel like there was a story to justify anything of the grossness that I was seeing. But then again, I wonder, we always kind of discuss this. I wonder if that just comes down to me. This is not my bag.
Not your cup of tea.
Not my cup of tea. This is not how I want to spend my time. People doing gross shit to each other, keeping prisoners and whatnot, making them do things with buckets and, sores and stuff. I don't feel like seeing sores and sewing things.
I thought that the bathtub scene with the father was it was very disturbing, but I thought that it was really that had some really strong kind of visual quality to it as well.
That creeped me out too. I just didn't understand that. Why are you doing that?
It reminded me of Tideland, the Terry Gilliam movie.
Oh, that movie was. I forget a lot about that movie, but
it was horrible,
disgusting. It was a disgusting movie.
It was. Yep.
I just remember you were making me remember all these disgusting things. I don't like it.
Well, it's a shame you didn't like this one because I was totally hooked. I'm really excited to see what this guy does next. I was a big fan of this one, so
I hope he makes a movie. That'd be cool. Make a movie next time.
Oh, Kevin, that's such a low blow. This is a movie,
like a full movie. Like let's flesh out some things.
This conformed to the 3-act structure. They even broke it down into 3 acts.
3 acts can eat a dick. 3-act garbage. 3 acts of bullshit.
I don't know. It didn't feel like anything was missing to me. It felt like a complete arc to me. We saw her childhood where she was, where this trauma occurred and where these thoughts in her head were planted. We saw when she was, when her father passed away, when she really broke. And then we see the finale where,
I think she broke before her father passed away. I mean, she's caring for a guy. Like, she goes from, 11 years old to, 20. So she's caring for a guy in a barn for, 9 years, 10 years. Like, she broke well before her dad.
I guess, but I don't know, though, because that, to her, is just normal. I think she was old enough that when the mom thing happened, that she knows that that's not normal. Like, she didn't have that in the prior 10 years of her life. I think at the age of 10, that keeping a human being in a barn shackled with eyes sewn shut is probably not a normal thing. I guess, yeah.
I think that's just kind of inherent. I don't know if you really need to be taught that. That might be a little weird. I don't know. Maybe not. I never been in that situation, so who knows?
I think it just depends on how sheltered of an upbringing she had. Like, did she have no access to the outside world whatsoever? That was something that was never really clear. I mean, obviously they had to at least go into town to buy supplies and groceries and things. So I don't know if they were living in complete isolation.
Yeah, but you can even throw out there too that if they do have to go into town or whatever, maybe that's what the father does, and they're not allowed to go into town.
Yeah, exactly. I mean
Hmm.
that was kind of the impression that I got, but I don't know that for sure because especially when she's an adult and she goes out, she does go out to meet people, and like when she meets the girl, she seems fairly socialized by that point. Like she's able to have a conversation, be albeit minimal and very strange,
Yeah,
but it seems like she knows how to at least converse with people.
that's true.
Yeah, it's a bizarre movie, and I loved it. So take that.
I did not. So take that right back at you.
I have a full review for this up on the site. I gave this one an 8 out of 10.
Oh boy, watch out. So what would you give this movie out of 10?
8. Just said I gave it an 8.
I just thought I'd ask before I give my number.
Yeah, I gave it an 8, and I'm sticking by an 8.
Would you give it, would you say like an 8?
Yes. What do you?
Seven, 7.5, 8? I would go, I'm gonna go like a 3. Does that hurt? Did that hurt you?
It hurt me a little bit. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I always feel bad. I know it's such a dumb thing, but I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry.
No, you within your right to not like movies,
I'm sorry.
even if you're wrong. That's fine. Whatever. All right, moving on. Let's talk about some of what we've been watching on the watch list. Kevin, I think we'll start it with you this week.
All right. Get ready because I got one. So hold on tight.
I'm strapping in.
I watched The Treasure. This is currently available on Netflix Instant. Trying to catch up on all the 2016 releases because I realized I got a month left and there's a shit ton of movies that I have not seen yet.
Yeah, same here.
So, great thing about this one, 89 minutes. Also short. Short movies. Fucking wonderful. Love them. This is, all in all, overall, it's a well-made film. It's just, it's so minimal, and the narrative that we're working with here just didn't really do anything for me. So what we have is a neighbor that desperately needs money. So he comes to his other neighbor and he's like, I need to borrow some money. The guy's like, no, I'm strapped for cash too. Can't help you. So the guy lets him know, hey, my family told me about this treasure that's buried in this house that I own out in the country. It's a family home, buried some treasure. So maybe we can scrounge up some money and we can get a metal detector and we can try and dig this treasure up and it'll solve all of our problems. Now, it sounds kind of silly, right? It sounds like a pretty silly narrative. But the one interesting thing about this film is everything's just completely serious and deadpan that you're almost slightly baffled because you're like, this is just so ludicrous. Why would you sign up for this? You're strapped for cash. Why are you scrounging money together to get a metal detector to try and get some treasure? Like, this is a terrible idea. Don't do this.
One could say that about anyone that buys a metal detector.
Well, not only they don't buy a metal detector, they hire a guy. Like they hire a company to come out and do the metal detecting for them. So they don't even get a metal detector that they can use, in the future. That, if you come up empty-handed today, you have opportunities to maybe find treasure in the future. No, this is a one-done deal where they get this guy to come out on the weekend and survey the land with a metal detector, and hopefully they'll find some treasure. So it's very compact. It's well made. It's just there's not a lot to it. It was a bit too thin for me.
Okay.
There's not really. I can't say too many negative things about it outside of just I didn't find it that interesting. There just wasn't enough there to warrant my time, really.
And that's called The Treasure.
The Treasure.
Available on Netflix Instant. I saw one called let's see, The Office Killer. We'll start with that one. This is from 1997, directed by Cindy Sherman. This one really didn't do it for me. It stars Carol Kane, Molly Ringwald, and Jean Triplehorn.
Okay.
And Michael Imperioli's in there as well. Basically, it's a horror comedy about this woman who is kind of she works at a magazine and she's kind of the outcast. People make fun of her and stuff, and she decides to strike back and she starts killing all the people in her office. That's Carol Kane's character. Uh, Not a lot to say about this one. It was pretty damn average, actually. I didn't find it to be funny at all. Like, not even one thing made me laugh, and it felt really weird as far as the tone, because it was pretty sadistic. Some of the things that happened in this, like The Eyes of My Mother, she kept the dead bodies of the people she killed and like kind of made a family out of them, but it felt out of place in this because this was kind of presented as this lighthearted horror comedy, and it just I don't know, it felt really weird. It was like really gory too, which was very strange. Um, one other quick note: this had who was it? Alice Drummond was in this, and I just read that she passed away today.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, she was in this. I saw that pop up on my feed, and I was like, oh, I just saw her in this movie. But either way, Office Killer. Can't can't recommend it. Molly Ringwald plays this kind of like bit. Like, she's like the office bitch. Like she's like the mean one, and Jean Triplehorn is like the nice and kind of kind and forgiving one.
Hmm. So
But
it's
yeah,
a
mm, I had a kind of a really average week. Like, I don't have a whole lot to talk about as far as these movies. I saw Visible Secret. This is directed by Anne Hui. It's kind of a Chinese ghost story. It stars Shu Qi as this girl who she has the ability of to see ghosts, sort of like a Sixth Sense knockoff, but more. It's like Sixth Sense in a romantic comedy skin. This
okay.
one's weird. This one's definitely weird. I think you might like this one.
What's the name of this again?
Visible Secret.
Visible Secret.
hmm
All right.
This was
Sounds
this
interesting.
this came out in 2001, so this was before they had their ban on ghost movies in China,
Hmm.
which is still utterly ridiculous. But
Yeah, can't have too many ghost movies. Gotta put a moratorium on them sometimes.
this one's
Shut
also
it down.
I know. I wish we would do that in the states about some
Yeah.
some subgenres
Yeah, exactly.
like found footage, like
Found
all
footage.
found.
Shut it down. Shut it to executive order. No more found footage.
I would recommend checking out Visible Secret. It's kind of goofy. I remember when this movie came out is right when you and I were starting to get into Asian cinema like pretty heavily. And this movie has that kind of feel like Biozombie or one of those other type of supernatural comedies. And it's a pretty fun watch. Nothing amazing, but decent nonetheless. And I saw White Girl. This came out earlier this year. This is directed by Elizabeth Wood. This is definitely one that left a bad taste in my mouth, which I think was completely intentional in every way. The interesting thing about this movie, so basically, it's about this girl who moves to New York City, and she's attending college there. She's getting ready to start her second year of college, and she meets this guy who's a drug dealer, and then some really terrible things happen. He ends up in jail, and she's trying to get money to get him out, and she's got drug dealers after her, and she's got lawyers that she has to pay, and then doing this internship, and her boss is totally a sleaze who's trying to like hook up with her, and just really it's just a series of awful things. But the thing that I found most interesting about this movie is that it's kind of it's kind of a look at like white privilege and how the effects of white privilege, how that can affect everything like in our ecosystem, because she is just an awful person from the beginning. I was expecting it to be, she's like the innocent girl from like the rural town or whatever who moves to the big city and gets corrupted by the big city. That's not how this movie is at all. She is terrible from the very beginning, and she is the one who corrupts everything around her. And I just thought that was kind of this really interesting meditation on white privilege, and it's a tough movie to recommend because it's just so
Just one
it's
awful
just
thing
so
after another.
it's so unpleasant. I don't know. I don't have a movie that I could liken it to. Maybe Kids, but Kids is a
I
bad
was gonna say
example.
on the poster it says since kids, the most explosive portrait of NYC youth since kids.
I don't know if I would compare it to Kids, other than because really all you have is disaffected youth. I mean, that's the only connection you really have to Kids. It has a very realistic look to it. Like it the way it was shot looks very almost documentary like, and so I guess that is another similarity to Kids. But I feel like they're very different movies. But either way, I guess it's okay. It's really hard to say because it's just such a gross movie, and I can't say that that's a bad thing though because it's intentionally gross.
Hmm.
I will say that it was well shot, it was well directed, and it was a very well made movie. But I don't know if I would go as far to say that I recommend it, just because it's so unpleasant. Uh, Finally, I saw Pet. This came out on VOD this week. This is the one about the guy who kidnaps a girl he's obsessed with, keeps her in a cage, and then some things happen and the tables get turned.
Watch out.
The interesting thing,
That happens a lot though, when you're gonna keep someone as a prisoner.
well,
A
it's
lot of times tables get turned.
and that's what I expected with this because you see it in the trailer, the synopsis, all this stuff. You know what to expect going into it, that something's going to happen, tables, script's going to get flipped, but the twist is not that. There's another aspect of it that is the actual twist, and that's far more interesting. And when that twist occurs, it made me appreciate this movie a whole lot more because I was like, oh, okay, this is the real twist. This is actually worth checking this movie out for.
Yeah.
It's still not a great movie.
Still not enough. It was close.
Right. I think that the twist was interesting enough. I think the execution was a little bit lackluster, but I still think that they took it to in an interesting direction. So, I'd say it's like a very light recommend if you don't have anything else going on. Give it a rent on VOD. I'd give this like a 5 out of 10 or something like that. Four and a half, 5 out of 10.
So you got two movies this week with people keeping other people as prisoners.
Yeah, and Pet is the other one that has the nail ripping off
Yeah,
scene.
you would imagine. Yeah, because it makes sense because you're trying to get out of something
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason. They dig their fingernails in. I
Yep.
don't know why they think that's gonna help.
No,
Dude,
no,
they overestimate the power of fingernails. Like them shits just break off. You're not gonna claw through anything.
that is true.
You're just hurting yourself.
They're so desperate. It's a sign of desperation. They're so
Yeah,
desperate to get out of the chains that bind them that they are willing to claw off their own nails.
yeah, but you still got them chains on. Use your head. I mean, I know you're locked up, but use your head. You gotta be
Yeah,
smart.
fingernail versus steel chains. It's no
Yeah,
brainer.
like even if you claw through that wood and you get through that wall, you still got chains on. Come on, use your head, dummy.
Yep.
Now you're just gonna be cold because you don't have no fucking wall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, just throwing that out there.
All right, that's all I have. So we can move on and talk about some predictions.
uh, oh my.
Let's see. Last week I did not write down what we predicted because it doesn't matter anyway. So I just
I was gonna say, do you even keep track at this
no,
point in time anymore?
I haven't kept track for like 2 years.
I love that we still do it though.
It's a I like doing it. It's fun, just a fun little weekly competition. The only one that we predicted was Jackie, and it ended up getting an 85%. So
Are you serious?
yeah, people were loving that
What?
one.
That movie
Yep.
looks like garbage.
I saw a second trailer for it today that made it look better. However, I still don't have any kind of desire to see it.
Yeah.
Next week we have Office Christmas Party.
Okay.
What do you think about this one?
Uh, eh.
Could be worth a
All
couple
right.
laughs.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those that I'll check out at some point in time because I'll probably be wanting to laugh at some point. So I'll pop that in. I'm
I'm a
not going to go
fan.
out to the theater and see it though.
No, yeah. Well, I might. I don't know. I like the Christmas movie. I like getting into the Christmas spirit with a nice Christmas themed movie. I don't know if this is gonna do the trick for me, but you got some good people in here. You got your Kate McKinnons, your Jason Batemans.
Which I would say, I mean, that right there that's going to warrant a watch. Having Kate McKinnon in there.
I know her character looks really funny too. So totally into that. What are you thinking on Office Christmas Party?
Oh boy, Office Christmas Party. I'm going to say a 52.
I will say 56 on that one. We also have La La Land,
Oh God.
the Damien Chazelle. This was just awarded best film at the New York Film Critics Circle.
Mm. 2016 is
I,
a rough year.
I got to be honest with you, Kevin. I am not feeling this one.
I have no interest in this shit at all. It just it seems disgusting. I don't this type of thing is just disgusting to me.
What musicals?
Yeah, it's just too damn sugary. It seems like I don't want any part of it.
Well, I'll tell you, it currently has a 97%.
I don't like this fantasy land bullshit where we're singing and dancing in the streets and whatnot.
I'm gonna say that this gets a 94.
Yeah, I have a feeling people are gonna love this shit out of it though. So I'm gonna go with a 91.
All right. I think that's just getting a limited release next week. I'm not positive though. In limited release next week, we have Friend Request. That's going to be amazing. You could tell by the title.
Mm-hmm.
Frank and Lola. That's the one with Michael Shannon and Imogen Poots. You got the Brand New Testament. Interested in that one?
Isn't that yeah? That's the one with where God lives in Belgium.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh,
Very, very interested in that. The Bounce Back. Not familiar with that. Abattoir. That's a horror movie that I have a mild interest in. Land of Mine. Looks like a war movie. All We Had, which is the Katie Holmes one. It's her directorial debut, I believe. Sugar Mountain. Beyond the Gates. What is that? Is that Barbara Crampton?
it does look like her, doesn't it? I was gonna say that seems like that should pique your interest. Get a VHS tape on there.
I know. Like,
Barbara-
I'm looking at the cover and I'm like, oh.
just have a feeling that while you're looking at the screen, it was just calling out to you, Adam. I'm made just for you.
Yeah, this would definitely interest me. That is.
Oh my god, retro cool blast from Dayglow 1980s past.
We'll see.
You just lost your shit, didn't
Nah,
you?
we'll
You
see.
just lost.
I'm very wary of those because there's so many of them these days, and so many of them just don't do it right.
Got 89% though.
I know. I don't know. Slash is coming out. The Clay Leaford one.
Okay, all right.
I have a mild interest in that one. Looks like a new Steven Seagal movie called Contract to Kill comes out. Of course, I feel like that dude has a movie every week. It's crazy.
Gotta respect it.
Yeah. Harry Benson, Shoot First. Burn Country. Kill Ratio. Accidental Courtesy. Daryl Davis. Race. And something else that the title is cut off. America. That one looks semi-interesting. It's about it's a black guy who he befriends people in the KKK in order to better understand them and to open up a dialogue. Looks somewhat interesting. Let's see, what else do we got here? That's pretty much it for this week. So there's a number of releases in there that kind of pique my interest. Next week on VOD, starting with December 5th, we have Be My Cat, a film for Anne. This is some kind of weird found footage movie about a guy who's trying to he's trying to get Anne Hathaway in his next movie. So he's making this movie just so that Anne Hathaway can look at it and be in his next movie. Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of interesting, but I saw the trailer and it looks really bad. So, December 6th, we have Decommissioned, It Watches, Green is Gold, Me, Myself, and Her, All Eyes and Ears, The Possession Experiment, Good Tidings, Tree Man, and Hotel of the Damned.
What up? Did you say Tree Man?
Tree Man.
Tree
Not
Man.
not the Tree Man from St. Mark's. It's a different Tree Man.
Oh,
It's about a guy who sells Christmas trees in New York City.
ah,
Hmm
I gotcha.
December 7th, we have Kiss Me, Kill Me. And then on December 9th, we have Frank and Lola, Abattoir, All We Had, Accidental Courtesy, Burn Country, Spectral, which is on Netflix. I'm actually interested in that. It's kind of this special forces team that has to go up against ghosts, it would seem. Seems interesting.
Just the way you delivered that.
Yep. 808, Harry Benson Shoot First, and that's it. So that's like 20 movies coming out on VOD next week.
That is ridiculous.
Well, like I said last week, since we updated our calendar to the new format, we've been getting a lot more people
You just been getting hit
submitting
left and right.
because it's a better calendar than it was.
Much better. Well, definitely. I'm right there with you.
Blu-ray next week. This is for Tuesday, December 6th. We have The Secret Life of Pets. It's a 4K release on that, and regular
Watch
Blu-ray
out.
as well. Mad Max High Octane Collection.
Oh man.
So I guess it's all of the Mad Max movies, so that's pretty cool, including the new one. Let's see. For the Love of Spock, it's that Spock documentary. Not sure why that needs to exist. Phantasm Ravager, that's the new Phantasm movie that I heard is pretty bad. Don't Think Twice, it's the Mike Birbiglia one that's pretty decent, worth checking out. Heart of a Dog. Oh, sorry, that's a Criterion. I didn't realize it.
Oh, stepping on toes here.
Yeah, sorry. ESPN 30 for 30 season 2 is getting a Blu-ray release.
Season 2?
I know. They're
Aren't
in
you on season 11?
yeah, season 2 is from 2010, so
Just getting that out.
just coming out.
Wow.
Little behind ESPN. Come on.
Jeez.
Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer is getting the 4K remaster release, as is the original Phantasm from 1979. Let's see what else we got. Kicks. I would definitely recommend checking that one out. And it's pretty much all. The Frontier. I'm not sure what that is. That's pretty much it. So why don't you tell me about this Criterion?
Well, I think you already covered 50% of them. Jeez. First, we have Heart of a Dog, Laurie Anderson's film from 2015, which you saw last, right?
I did, yeah.
I think I do remember you talking about this. I'm looking forward to this one. I've been wanting to see this since 2015, since way back in 2015. So I'll finally be able to do that. That's wonderful. And The Exterminating Angel is getting a re-release on the Blu-ray, which is quite good. That is a fantastic film right there. The Exterminating Angel. Just absurd. High society getting together for a dinner. And they can't leave. They just, for whatever reason, they can't leave the room.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Something just compels them to stay. There's no force that keeps them there. They can't leave. They can't do it. So they just end up hanging out in this room. It's like the worst dinner party ever.
Aren't they all, though?
And that's what I was just about to say. You know how I feel about dinner parties.
Indeed. All right. Well, I think that is going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And if you have a minute, take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/FilmPulse, and consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.